I have often said that investing is not a game where the guy with the 160 IQ beats the guy with the 130 IQ. Once you have ordinary intelligence, what you need is the temperament to control the urges that get other people into trouble in investing. That is the secret. It isn't about complex formulas or watching the ticker tape every second of the day. Most people struggle with money not because they aren't smart, but because they are in a hurry. They want the result without the process. They look for the lottery ticket, the quick flip, the next big thing. And I can tell you, after more than 90 years of living and 80 years of investing, that is a short path to mediocrity. The reality is that building wealth, true lasting wealth that gives you freedom, is actually quite boring. It is about habits, simple, daily habits that the majority of people simply refuse to learn because they seem too slow. They seem too easy. But I have found that the simplest behaviors, repeated over a lifetime, compound into something extraordinary. In this conversation, I want to walk you through 7 habits that have defined my life and my career at Berkshire Hathaway. These aren't secrets kept in a vault. They are principles that are available to everyone, yet so few choose to pick them up. If you can master your own behavior, you can master your money. Let's sit down and talk about how to do just that. Let's start with the most fundamental mistake I see people make. It is the inability to distinguish between what they need and what they want. You see, most people, when their income goes up, their lifestyle goes up right along with it. They get a raise, so they buy a better car. They have a good year, so they move into a bigger house. They run on a treadmill where they can never get ahead because their spending always catches up to their earning. This brings me to the first habit, detaching your spending from your income. I still live in the same house in Omaha that I bought in 1958. I bought it for $31,500. It is a lovely house. It has everything I need. It is warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Why would I need anything else? Many people think that being rich means spending money, but in reality, being rich means having capital. And you cannot build capital if you are spending it on things that lose value the moment you buy them. I've never understood the desire to impress strangers. If you buy things you don't need, soon you will have to sell things you need. The habit you must cultivate is contentment with simplicity. If you can be happy with a simple life, you can save money aggressively. And that savings is your seed corn. If you eat your seed corn, you have nothing to plant for the harvest. It is about paying yourself first, not saving what is left after spending, but spending what is left after saving. The second habit is knowing what you know, and more importantly, knowing what you don't know. We call this your circle of competence. In baseball, you can wait for the pitch. The pitcher can throw a ball 3 inches above your navel or low and outside, and you don't have to swing. There are no called strikes in investing. You can stand there with the bat on your shoulder for day after day, year after year, waiting for the fat pitch, the opportunity you perfectly understand. The mistake many people make and why they stay poor is that they swing at everything. They hear a rumor about a tech company, they swing. Their neighbor tells them about cryptocurrency, they swing. They invest in businesses they do not understand because they are afraid of missing out. I've made plenty of mistakes, but I try to stay within the area where I understand the economics. I understand sugar. I understand furniture. I understand insurance. If someone comes to me with a complex derivative or a business model that relies on changing the world in 10 years, I put it in the too hard pile. You do not need to be an expert on everything. You just need to be able to evaluate the companies within your circle. The size of that circle is not very important. Knowing its boundaries, however, is vital. Stick to what you know. If you don't understand how a company makes money, do not give them yours. This brings us to the third habit, and perhaps the most difficult one for the modern mind to grasp. Extreme patience. I've often used the analogy of a snowball. Life is like a snowball. The important thing is finding wet snow and a really long hill. The long hill is time. The wet snow is the money you save and invest. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. But compounding takes time. It is not linear. It is exponential. The biggest growth happens at the very end. Consider this. More than 99% of my wealth was accumulated after my 50th birthday. If I had started investing in my 30s and retired in my 60s, you would have never heard of me. The secret wasn't just that I was a good investor. It was that I have been an investor for roughly 80 years. The poor and the middle class are often trapped in short-term thinking. They need money for the rent next week or for the vacation next month. They pull their investments out when the market drops because they get scared. They interrupt the compounding process. You cannot produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Some things just take time. You must be willing to watch paint dry. You must be willing to do nothing for long periods of time. Inactivity strikes us as intelligent behavior. People often ask me how I spend my day. They imagine I am on the phone shouting orders or staring at computer screens. The truth is, I spend the vast majority of my day, maybe 80% of it, just sitting and reading. This is the fourth habit. Go to bed a little wiser than when you woke up. Read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. All of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will do it. The poor and the mediocre stop learning the moment they leave school. They think education is a diploma, but the world changes. Businesses change. If you aren't learning, you are falling behind. My partner, Charlie, was a walking book with legs. We both knew that we wouldn't be successful investors if we didn't read all the time. We read annual reports. We read newspapers. We read biographies. We read history. We want to understand how the world works. When you read, you are downloading the life experience of someone else into your brain. It is the cheapest and most effective way to get ahead. You must be a learning machine. If you can cultivate a genuine curiosity about the world, you will spot opportunities that others miss because they are too busy being entertained. Now, intelligence and reading are not enough if you do not have the fifth habit, emotional stability. The market is a manic depressive. Some days, Mr. Market is euphoric and wants to sell you his business for a very high price. Other days, he is depressed and wants to sell it to you for pennies. The poor investor lets Mr. Market dictate their feelings. When the market is up, they feel rich and greedy. When the market is down, they feel poor and fearful. You must do the opposite. You must be fearful when others are greedy and greedy only when others are fearful. This is incredibly hard to do. It is against human nature. We are social animals. We want to run with the herd. But in investing, the herd is usually wrong at the extremes. When everyone is talking about how easy it is to make money, that is the time to be cautious. When everyone is predicting the end of the world, that is the time to take out your checkbook. You need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd, nor against the crowd. You just need to look at the facts. If the facts are on your side, hold your ground. If you cannot control your emotion, you cannot control your money. This leads us to a critical distinction. Habit number 6, understanding the difference between price and value. Long ago, Ben Graham taught me that price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Whether we're talking about socks or stocks, I like buying quality merchandise when it is marked down. Most people focus entirely on price. They see a stock price going up, and they think it must be a good investment. They see a price going down, and they think it is bad. But the ticker symbol does not tell you the value of the business. A business is a living thing. It is assets, it is cash flow, it is managed. You must learn to value a business based on its ability to generate cash over time. If you can calculate that value, let's say a business is worth $100 a share based on its cash flow. The market is selling it for $50. You buy it. You don't worry if the price goes to $40 next week. You bought $1 for 50 cents. The poor focus on the price tag. The wealthy focus on the value. If you buy things for less than they are worth, eventually the market will agree with you. but you must do the work to understand what the value actually is. The seventh habit is one that isn't strictly financial, but it will determine your financial destiny more than anything else. Surround yourself with people better than you. You will move in the direction of the people that you associate with. If you hang around with people who spend everything they earn, who are cynical, who look for shortcuts, you will eventually become like them. If you associate with people who are disciplined, honest, and smarter than you are, you will drift in that direction. I was lucky to have Charlie Munger. He made me a better person and a better investor. He challenged me. He told me when I was wrong. You need people in your life who will tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. And this extends to integrity. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. In business, I look for 3 things in a person: intelligence, energy, and integrity. And if they don't have the last one, don't even bother with the first 2. Because if a person doesn't have integrity, you want them to be dumb and lazy. Choose your heroes wisely. Tell me who your heroes are, and I'll tell you who you'll turn out to be. I want to tell you a short story about how to measure your life, because money is of no use if you are miserable. I call it the inner scorecard versus the outer scorecard. The outer scorecard is what the world thinks of you. It is the big house, the awards, the applause. The inner scorecard is what you think of yourself. Ask yourself this question. Would you rather be the world's greatest lover, but have everyone think you're the world's worst lover? Or would you rather be the world's worst lover, but have everyone think you're the world's greatest lover? That's an interesting question, isn't it? If you choose the latter, being the worst but known as the best, you are living by the outer scorecard. You are living for the approval of others. And that is a recipe for unhappiness and financial ruin, because you will always be chasing the next thing to impress people who don't care about you. But if you are content with the inner scorecard, doing the right thing when no one is looking, saving money quietly, building wealth for your family's security rather than your ego, then you have won. The habits we discussed today: patience, frugality, learning, they are all about the inner scorecard. They are private victories. So how do you apply this today? You might say, Warren, I don't have billions to invest. That doesn't matter. The principles are the same whether you have $1,000 or $1 billion. Here are 3 simple steps you can take immediately. First, stop the leaks. Look at your daily habits. Where are you spending money to impress the outer scorecard? Cut that out. Treat every dollar as an employee that can work for you forever. Don't fire your employees for a momentary thrill. Second, for the vast majority of people, the best investment is a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. You don't need to pick stocks. You don't need to read annual reports like I do. Bet on American business. Buy a slice of the top 500 companies and just hold it forever. Never sell it. Let the dividends reinvest. It is simple, it is boring, and it will beat 90% of the professionals on Wall Street. Third, imagine you have a punch card with only 20 slots in it. And that represents all the investments you get to make in a lifetime. Once you punch a hole, you can't undo it. If you thought that way, you would be much more careful. You wouldn't gamble. You would think deeply before you acted. Try to treat your financial decisions with that level of seriousness. The title of this discussion mentioned that the poor will never learn this. That sounds harsh. And I don't mean it to be cruel. I mean it to highlight a tragedy of mindset. The reason many people never build wealth is not a lack of opportunity, but a surplus of envy. Envy is a really stupid sin because it's the only one you could never possibly have any fun at. There's a lot of pain and no fun. Why would you want to get on that trolley? When you look at your neighbor and see they're making money faster than you, or driving a nicer car, and you let that eat away at you, you lose your discipline. You start gambling to catch up. The poor mindset says, I want it now. The wealthy mindset says, I'm willing to wait. If you can conquer envy, and if you can conquer the need for speed, you separate yourself from the 99%. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be rational in an irrational world. You need to stand under the shade of a tree that someone planted a long time ago, and then plant a tree for someone else. We have covered a lot of ground today. We talked about living below your means, staying within your circle of competence, the power of patience, and the importance of the inner scorecard. None of this is flashy. None of this will make you rich by next Tuesday. But if you stick to these habits, rain or shine, market crash or market boom, you will wake up one day and realize you have built a fortress of financial security. Money is not everything. Make sure you earn it in a way that allows you to sleep well at night, and surround yourself with people you love. That is the ultimate success. If this conversation helped you think a little more clearly about your money and your life, you may want to stay with this channel. We will be here discussing the long game, ignoring the noise, and focusing on wisdom that stands the test of time. Take care of your money, and it will take care of you.